There's 3 things there to sign.
So your 410s, what day do you get off?
Monday.
So Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
It's still here.
Nice long weekend.
Tonight, I'm not going to
Yeah,
mention
it's
anything
a-
about
it's
no.
Inside joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time I
Something
did
you said
that, we had one of those.
It wasn't bad. It was funny.
I was thinking about it.
It was live.
Yeah, it was gonna happen.
It's under, and I'm not super.
At that point, it probably already happened, but you just had to prep
Those two.
for big ones.
Yeah, of course, we already knew, well, we knew about the one. We almost dug up the third one that night because power wasn't even keeping up
Oh, really?
with the other two and the
Oh,
one.
wow.
Well, I mean, I guess my question. Well, it's keeping up, but it wasn't getting ahead at all. And so once we got the second one sealed up, we kind of started to move tools back to the shop. Started going back up. Okay. We'll wait and then I'll see. Thank you. Down there on 39.
Colin?
Was that
Good,
the
how are
one-
you?
North here?
Yeah, that was a lot.
Starting all this paper to go through.
Cross-fitting.
Yeah, I understand. I've had light reading recently too, so.
So you're used to that, right?
Yeah.
Had to reinstate some of the service.
That for CCMG?
Yeah, this one's
I still haven't
CCMG,
changed
this
it to
one's
the old, I kept all the old.
Oh.
New house on Raymond, you have to pay a connection fee.
There was already a meter there.
Oh, there was a meter there.
Yeah, that was a house.
Yeah, I knew there was a
Yeah.
house there.
You guys mind signing in?
No, it's right back in.
You guys don't have to, I think I have. Yeah,
Not finding the sewer.
you don't have to, Bob never signed it.
Okay.
I'll be hunting names, I'll be texting chats. Hey,
Yeah.
If
you want me to, let me know, I don't have a problem.
no, it's okay.
They ended up digging all the way across.
I don't think so. You're on, were you here last?
Yeah.
Then you'll be on there. Cause I just copy and paste.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
So I'll have your name.
Yeah,
The only thing I'm worried about spelling, cause, thank you.
I wasn't here the last meeting, but I was here the last normal meeting.
Then you'll be good.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Those are the temporaries to sign.
Yep, thanks.
April 1st.
Okay.
Another?
Gotta take us down to half.
And I saw on the news tonight where they created a flop system in Indianapolis with catching a guy that did the shooting on the interstate.
Oh, really?
And then they caught him over in Illinois. Yeah. Yeah. They showed the picture and said flop system right
Oh
on
my
it.
gosh.
Ours is still in the permitting stage, so.
I called and left a message with Ginda.
Okay.
Crickets. I've heard nothing. Of course, you can't talk to him. You got to leave a message.
Right.
So. You got our video on?
I do.
We're on.
You're on.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we can call this meeting to order. It's about 15 seconds too soon, but that's fine. Thanks for you two showing up. Normally there's more people here, but that's fine. That's fine. All right. Have you had a chance to go over the minutes from last meeting?
I didn't get them.
Sorry, they're here.
I didn't check my junk mail a
Yeah.
little bit ago.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I got them, I think. Yeah.
Well, put them on the same one. I thought it had the minutes and the fund report. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I got it.
I didn't. The only email I got was about for the bank. The bank one. That's the one I got.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I even looked in my junk mail. I didn't see it.
Oh,
I'll give you a second or two to go over that before we
Yeah.
approve it. So.
They just had the fund report. They were attached.
but he said he didn't get that.
Oh, didn't you get the fund report?
No. Is he on there? Should be.
There's a Ben
Is it Ben?
Underwood.
Ah,
I didn't see
My
it.
bad.
No, it's fine. I
There's a
even,
bid on there.
I even looked and I'm like, okay, maybe let me check my junk.
Ben
mail.
Underwood
I'm
could have
looking,
gave me a
I'm like,
heads up about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ben.
No, it's fine. Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last, actually 2 meetings that we had.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from last month's monthly meeting and the special meeting.
I'll
Okay,
second that.
okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
That has been approved. BF and S, you're on.
All
Get
right,
you out of here early.
that sounds good. We've got a couple things for you tonight. The first one is the CCMG contract. We have reviewed the bid. As you know, you guys opened bids, and I wasn't here for the last one. I had to be another bid opening. But bids were opened. You guys got 7. The lowest responsible and apparent bidder was Reith Riley, and I believe they were $358,601.
Yep.
So now we have their contract right here, and we are recommending that you accept the lowest bid on that. We have reviewed it, and everything looks like it's in order. And here it all is right here. If you guys want to go through it, for a couple of hours, you can. But we have gone through it all, and there's 2 copies here. And if it's okay with you guys, we kind of tabbed it where you need to sign at. You sign that, you'll keep a copy. I'll take a copy back, get it with a contractor. We'll give you digital copies as well, but get with a contractor and let them know that they are good to go. And then we got to wait for part 2 of this, which is a letter. We got to send NDOT saying that you have hired a contractor, which you got right there on your letterhead.
Yep.
So that this says that you hired a contractor. You got to give them this document, a digital form, and then also a Form 96, which is all tab number 2 right there. And then this letter, give that to them, and you got to wait until you get your money from NDOT. And then once that happens, we are getting notice to proceed, and we're good to go to start working.
Okay,
So-
you need to sign tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
if I can have these signed tonight, that way, because you got to have this all under contract by the first Friday in March in order to,
Okay.
in order to keep your funding.
Yeah.
So
First, I better entertain a motion to accept the bid from Reith Riley.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for Reith Riley for the CCMG.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
okay, it's been, motion been made and seconded to accept Reith Riley's bid. All in favor?
Aye.
It's official.
And then I also should have mentioned that this local match now is lower than what you originally budgeted for. So they will reduce the money they give you now, which is fine, but you guys are under budget right now and good to go. And before I get into my next thing, I'll let you do that. So
I think it's all you, Stan.
I get it. I'm the only
there
one?
might be one. The second tab might need to be signed by all. Sorry. Oh no, it says Stan Brook. Okay. I've seen that paper so many times.
Well, I think
What's this one
they'd
here?
already previously done that. So.
That is the Form 96, I believe. Yep. So this is the one where everybody would sign here.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought there was one.
Does somebody need to sign on this one right here?
Yeah, that's what he's
Yep.
talking about.
Okay, we all 3 need to sign on that
All
one?
3 need to sign on that one.
Okay.
A lot of papers.
Ben, I'll let you do that one.
And this is for the crosswalk.
This is for the CCMG. This is for the road resurfacing projects. There are Delphi Road and South Street and Otten Road. And the next thing may be the crosswalk. But signs.
Is there just one in this book?
For you, yes.
Okay.
Stan has 2.
Okay.
This was the one you said the match was low, or the budget was lower.
Yes, the
For this one?
CCMG is
Okay.
lower than.
Just making sure my notes are right.
Yep. So you guys were awarded. Let's get my glasses on here. You were awarded $292,205, and the amount will go down to $268,950.
Done.
page going over those.
I don't want to stack stuff on her.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I just.
I don't think I have to sign back here, but. I'm not sure.
There's gotta be more than, I did two of them. So
I'll take one copy you can keep, and then I'll take
Sign
one.
two copies.
Might double check, make sure everything got signed there. 'Cause
Yeah, these are just the plans that end them, so there's nothing to sign in this one.
oh, okay.
It's part of the booklet.
These are
And then
signed, so
that's
just keep
for-
that.
Yep, that's for your records, yes. Okay, so that is all on the CCMG for now. The next thing I have for you is the consultant agreement for the NDOT project, which is the HSIP project that you were awarded funds from NDOT. So NDOT pays 80 or 90% of this contract, and this is to get the engineering work done on that. And this is a 2-year project. It's actually about, Chad and I are learning, they're kind of extending it beyond what they wanted us to get it done in. So we got about 2.5 years to get this done. NDOT's process is a little slow, so we have to go through engineering, environmental, and this again is a boilerplate NDOT contract. NDOT has reviewed this, and we got their blessing from them to get this done. This is for us to get the environmental survey, engineering, and basically to get your crosswalk and your speed limit signs and flashing stop signs. And this is a 90-10 grant through NDOT. I think the part you probably want to see is on Appendix D, page 22. That would be the cost. So it's $40,000, but it is a 90-10.
The last page.
Yeah, page 22.
And that's the amount we showed in the application.
Oh, okay.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So anything needs to be signed on these?
This does need to be signed. Stand up here, get my glasses on. The NDOT ones are so long. So page 17 is where the signatures go. This needs to be signed by everybody
Is there more than one?
on the right hand side. We actually only need one copy of this. I just like to have everybody have a physical copy so they can see it. But you want to sign, well, it doesn't matter, one of these, and then you can keep the other one for record if you want.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. It's a lot of details. Going through these grants is a lot of nuances and a lot of paperwork.
There we go.
And this one also, we gotta wait for a notice to proceed before work even gets done. We're waiting for funds to get sent to you before we get going on it, so.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess we should clarify that. So the invoices the town will have to pay, and then NDOT will reimburse us the 90%.
Oh,
That's how this grant, yeah, and that's how this grant works. So there's also a long process to
Yes.
that as well, of submitting invoices and things like that, in a specific way they want to see it. So you'll, in case you see a few months, because they said it'd take 2 months to come up with a contract.
Yeah, it takes about 2 months.
You need this one also?
I do not. That will be what the town will send in to NDOT.
So Brooke needs that one though.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just get it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions though, if you have any.
I know that the crossing thing's gonna be a little drawn out affair, is that correct?
It will be NDOT. You have to go through, I'm gonna give you guys all my card in case you have questions afterwards you need to think of, but NDOT makes you go through a pretty lengthy process, getting environmental done. You gotta make sure the right of way is, you're not affecting any right of way on this one. It's all supposed to be within the right of way. The environmental itself takes the longest time because you have to go through NDOT. They have to review everything and approve it, and that's like a 6-month process basically just to get an environmental document done. And basically saying that you're not affecting anything.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, thank you much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Keep up
thank
the
you
good
all.
work, all that, and
yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to call me or text me or email me.
okay.
I just have one.
Yeah, sure.
With you being in contact with Rita Riley, have they said how long the work would approximately take to do once?
So
that
we've
make
talked
sense?
with them, and I think the contract states it has to all be done by November. But we did tell them about the festival, and they have to avoid those certain dates. So once they come in, they'll knock it out either before the festival or they'll wait till afterwards and knock it out afterwards.
Okay.
So once we have a pre-con, they'll at that time they'll bring in a schedule to tell us when they're going to be in.
Okay.
We've told them about when not to be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're free to wander on, and you go home and.
I guess I'll go home and
Easy
see
chair.
what
What
the kids are
have
up to. Huh?
Okay.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you. See you.
Ed, I think you're up next. I don't think you have a whole lot here. You kind of gave us a little. There we go.
Yeah, so we had 36 calls for service since last council meeting. The in-car camera system for both vehicles be installed this Thursday and Friday. We've been waiting a while on that. Run into some issues on the cradle point that we have to activate. And so when I called to activate it, they told me that there's some lady's name that's attached to that email through Rossville PD, Lacey Green. So now I gotta jump through a bunch of hoops to get that removed. Said that she's administrator on that account. I don't have a clue.
I don't know, Lacey Green.
I don't know anybody by that name.
So
I don't know Lacey Green. They say I know everybody, but I don't know Lacey Green.
I don't know what it is, unless they messed up at Axon when they set those cradle points, and she's somewhere else. But they said it was Rossville, Indiana Police Department, so I don't know. I mean, we'll get it figured out.
No, it's not.
I mean, there's nothing right now that can be compromised with that account. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's this Thursday and Friday. The loft and the police station that Chad and Sean and their crew are doing. It's coming along. Looks great. Guys done a fantastic job. Thanks, Chad. Town Marshal Association's having their training again this year in April in Indianapolis. It's a 3-day course. I'd like to get approval for 3 of us to go again and approval for the hotel. For the hotel be a Thursday night, Friday night.
Okay. Stay at Motel 6.
Some motel over by the airport. It's kind of a shady area, but that's all I have.
Okay. Okay. So I suppose you we need to vote on approval to do that.
Yeah, because it's opened up for registration. We gotta get registered pretty quick, I think.
You know what the cost is approximately?
It's so the training is like $145
Per person?
per person. In the hotel, I'm not real sure what the cost is. $1 something a night.
Okay. Okay.
Is that Bill Amsler?
Yeah.
He only works summers in, doesn't he?
Yeah, he works summers in. He does a few other things. He's tentative on going. I don't know for sure. There's a lot of things that's coming down with this House bill. I think it's House Bill 1186 on reserve officers. So it's not good. Bill's our only reserve officer, but we'll see what happens with that bill.
Well, what's it saying?
The House bill,
Yeah.
there's a lot. But basically, you can only stay in your jurisdiction if you're not certified through the academy. There's a whole lot of details. If you get time, read House Bill 1186. There's a lot to it.
That Lacey person is from Rossville, Illinois, and she is a police officer.
Ah, there you go. Rossville, Illinois.
Thank you.
I know, I was going to get on, but I was like, people are like, get off your
So
phone. You're
I
on,
asked them.
you're on the camera.
We've had stuff sent here that belonged to Rossville, Illinois, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And they come up and picked it up. But I asked them, and they were like, "No, clearly it's Indiana."
To say, no, clearly it's not.
I mean,
Maybe that Lacey could call them or something.
we've
Well, it
been
might clearly say Indiana on their screen, but
It's not.
obviously the wires got crossed somewhere.
I mean, we've had a message on our answer machine, got our butt chewed. How our police department's corrupt and all this, right? And I called the guy, and he's like, "Watch YouTube." So I got on there and watched YouTube with him as Rossville, Georgia.
I was saying, Rossville, Illinois is about the size of this town. Corruption would be
Grief.
unlikely.
So yeah, he apologized.
I'll make a motion that we approve the training for possibly 3 people in Indiana and Indianapolis for that 3-day event and the hotels.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it's approved. We're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Chad.
Yep. Well, the update I gave you is short, just because we had a busy month, but there's a lot of. Just because it's short doesn't mean we haven't had a lot going on, I guess is what I'll put it that way. So the finances we're still kind of settling in on after the changeover in the budget year, but yeah, we've had some decent sized leaks, so we're definitely in the red, and that's not terribly uncommon for this time of year. So leading into the second thing on just the water leaks, we had those 2 in one day, and which the worst we've ever had is 4 in one day, so it could have been worse, but we did have to call a second crew in. I mean, we found one, and I'd say 20 minutes after that, the second one popped up. So that's pretty rare. So the only other time that happened, it was 4. So then we also knew about the other leak we talked about at the previous meeting. That was a lot more involved. We had to shut down a lane of State Road 39 the following Tuesday and replace a bunch of fittings and stuff that we had dug there previously for other reasons. So this time we didn't mess around. Now the actual leak we found was not at the cross. It was about 4 foot away from the cross. But like I said, we were there. It's time to be done digging in that area. So we got all that stuff replaced, and we checked the tile. There's a tile that runs about 2 inches below that water main that we had repaired a few years prior. So we checked the remainder of it that we exposed to see if we needed to repair any more of it while we were there, and got through that. So the rest of it, so I had a emergency response plan from our inspection last year. The IDM's requiring us to have a standalone. We have what's called a contingency plan in our wellhead protection plan. So I'm kind of simultaneously working on both those right now because I need to get those done to complete some other things. So it's a lot of paperwork this month. We have to do a report to the DNR for all the water we pump for 2024. On top of that, the NDOT cut permits. I went ahead and Brooke signed it. I witnessed it. That NDOT's requiring that we have a performance bond for any cuts in the state highway. I argued with them last year. Ironically, Crawfordsville District approved the permits because we had one out here on 26 that Ben notified me of. They approved the permits for that without a bond, but LaPorte handles the one on 39, and they will not approve the permit. Even though we've already done the work, they won't approve the illegal side of the permit until we have a performance bond. The performance bond only covers the restoration of the asphalt. But the good news was, I think RME is our insurance. They think that a blanket bond for the whole year is maybe $500 a year. Because the problem is, otherwise you'd have to apply for this every time you got to dig. So for $500 a year, I just seem to have the blanket bond that covers us for the year, and then I just submit the same paperwork on every cut that we have. But
Makes
it's
sense.
still a little frustrating that for many years they would waive it for municipalities. They still waive the permit fee, which is like $50, but they won't waive the bond fee. So we'll see. They're all in stone right now. If you see them on the highways, we'll see if that stays that way. Last year they made us take that stone out and put cold patch in, which costs cold patch, if you remember, costs twice as much as hot patch costs. So,
It doesn't last.
and then we have to remove it and put hot patch in the spring. So I'm hoping that they don't make us go through those extra steps this year, but we'll see. So not much on the wastewater. Still in the black on finances. The vac truck, I did. We sprung a leak on the water tank, so I did end up meeting. I'd been in your packet a few times last year about the refurbishment. So it's the same fabricator that is going to fix the leak on the tank. So I did go ahead, and he was a month and a half out to schedule the fabrication to get going. We're in the process of doing the winter maintenance on that truck right now. We did use it on one of the main brakes, but when it gets super cold, that truck's just not set up to run in super cold weather. But we can talk about it again. I'd say between him and then ironically, the water pump guy met with me probably a week after the fabricator did. So I'd say I went ahead and scheduled it and figured we can talk about it if you want. But it's been in your packet for about a year now that I needed to get something done on it. So, but we can talk about it more next month if you want to. Otherwise, I'll keep rolling. So, I can't really take much. I've been cooped up in the office, so the guys, I got to give Sean the guys credit for the police department. They've been doing a great job. It's I had to get a few more material runs, so we're much closer to that budget now than we were. We were well under budget. Now we're getting close to that budget. But we were able to add build a workbench and some of that stuff. So it'll be kind of one of those, once we leave, I think he'll be set, or the police department will be set for many years to come on that stuff. So I did have to finally debate it a little bit. Our excavator will be leaving next Monday after I complained about its performance compared to the one we trade in and digging performance. So we may have a little gap in there. I had to debate it a little bit to get them to do it for free. I just said it didn't perform as good as our old one did. So so whether hopefully we don't have anything happen next week while it's gone, but if it does, we've got contractors we can call to get us an excavator. I did one thing I don't have in your update. I did every time somebody asked me for a business card, I always revert back to a logo. So I did contact Freckles last week about the previous board approved a sign that would go on the shop building to make it more identifiable. That came with a logo. We didn't really we weren't sure about it, so we decided to just wait because we wanted to have a logo that you could just apply to everything. So, or branding, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully they'll come up with something good. But I wanted to let you know because that was, they said that it's basically just time and material. So $75 an hour to come up with the artwork. So as soon as I see something, I'll pass it on to you. And I'm just not good. I can tell you what I don't like. I just can't draw something out to say this is awesome and let's apply it to everything. So, but I just at least wanted you to know in case you saw something come across. So I don't.
And your guys did a nice job of fixing the divot that Waste Management left in front of the house.
Yeah, unfortunately, I expect that'll probably get worse.
That's a pretty good divot there.
yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah. I was expecting to see the pavement in between it actually
Well, it
collapse.
kind of is. If you look at it,
It's kind of
it's dipping down. Yeah.
And as it gets warmer, the asphalt will start flexing more, and we'll know more where we're going to have to.
I just don't want to drive over and get swallowed in.
Yeah, no, especially with a golf cart, don't do that. Yeah. So
Okay.
no, I think that's it. Unless you have any questions.
Okie doke. Thank you much. Very good. Oh, but how close? I know we've talked about it before about the water mains, north, south, east, west.
Mm-hmm.
Is that anything? I mean, do you have any idea where we would be on that, and then what we should be doing?
The rough number we got from engineers was about $3 million ballpark. with the increases that you guys instituted last year, by the end of this year, you could consider, actually, starting the design process on it. And that way you would, if you, like in Mulberry's case, when they got their money through SRF, they had designs ready when they were applying for that money, that they got the forgivable loan, or at least I'm assuming they did, so.
They did.
Yeah, so if you have the design work done, which you're gonna have to do anyway, then that will help with funding to get the ball rolling. But that, you can figure design work is probably at least maybe 10% of the actual construction costs. So I mean, it could be $200,000-$300,000 in engineer or soft costs. So
My
But-
experience with grants is that if you're shovel ready, you have a much better chance of getting those grants, especially the larger ones, like the SRF forgivable loans and that sort of thing. And shovel ready means that when you get the grant, you're ready to get the bids out and get the contractors out there and do it. So they generally recommend, going through the process of getting the design all ready, getting an engineer, getting all your documentation ready, making sure you have all of your income surveys and all the things that you need for the grant prepared before you apply, and then you have a much better chance of getting that grant than if you're not shovel ready.
What kind of percentage did they get? You remember? I mean, what did they have to?
They got 2 grants. They got an Okra grant, and then they got a SRF forgivable loan, and the total project cost, I believe, was $10.6 million. I believe the Okra grant was $700,000, and the SRF forgivable loan was the remaining portion of it.
Really?
Yeah.
So they really didn't have anything.
I mean, they had to pay the soft costs of the engineer and all of that stuff. They were able to get some of that reimbursed, though, I believe. So
they bonded $2 million, is what I saw.
yeah, they bonded $2 million. There was $2 million in bonds that they had to do, and then I think those are also forgivable, but I can't remember offhand. But the maximum amount that they'd have to pay would be $2 million of that, and then the rest of it was all forgivable loans.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but the majority of that project was paid for by those grants.
But I know it's something we're gonna have to be facing here shortly, because I know, like you say, they just put in what,
And
32?
38.
38?
And my recommendation would be that if you're looking to try and get a grant like that you hire a consultant engineer to walk you through that process and to apply for you. You're going to have a much better experience. And then after you get the grant, there are a lot of like procedural things you have to do in order to not lose that money or do anything wrong. So I also recommend having someone who knows what they're doing administer that grant and help you administer that grant, because there's a lot of timelines and paperwork that you have to get accomplished.
And I'm sure you guys have got some names on that we could use. So
Yeah, I mean, I know Mulberry used GRW to help with theirs. I think there has been some frustration expressed at public meetings regarding their relationship with GRW. There have been some things that they were frustrated with, but they did help them get the grant. So, I mean, I think all engineers have their pluses and minuses. I'm not sure if that's something that BFNS would be able to help you with. That's something you'd have to reach out to them. They usually focus on streets, but I think they might have a department that does wastewater. But if you go to any of the like AIM conferences or anything like that, there are a whole multitude of engineers that you can network with and find somebody that's a good fit.
okay.
But yeah, there are lots of different folks.
Yeah, because I just knew that was something we're going to face here.
Sorry. I like to warn people, but I can't because it's all climbing up my throat. I can't talk.
Donahue's, who we've been using on water and wastewater stuff.
Okay.
Who is it?
Donahue and Associates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they probably are capable. I mean, you'd want to ask them if they're able to do the grant work piece of it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably something we, for too long, need to get serious on.
Well, that
Whatever
reminds
we
me
can,
that
so.
we were looking at, which to her comment, I'm just too much on my plate to do a ton of the legwork with it, but the North Central Indiana Regional Planning Council offered to help us because our income survey is now void
Right.
for the Okra stuff, so because of the rule changes last year, so. So you had the presentation from Klein Peter about doing the income survey, but that kind of ties back into the engineer. Depends on which engineer you're using, because sometimes they sub that part of it out. But there was a three, basically it would do, if you remember his presentation was on, when I wasn't able to be here, was on the 3 utility study. So that would get you I think it's 100,000 for the 3 utility planning grant from Okra. And that would, at least that would get some of your preliminary stuff done. And if you remember, I was not really in favor because we kind of know where we're at on the wastewater side, but it has been going on 6 years since we completed the construction on the wastewater side. So that kind of went back to me not sitting here saying, okay, well, if we'd have an updated plan, it's pretty much a covered grant, but you'd have to do the income survey first. So that's probably something that we can discuss. Yes, I have talked to BF&S about their water and wastewater division. I'm, like I said, a little hesitant because I've been interacting with Donnie now for 24 years. So, and no, to her comment, they all have, I have certainly had my disagreements with every engineering firm, and they've had their disagreements with me too. So,
I mean, you're never going to find anybody who's perfect in whatever area that you're working with. It's really just a matter of, are they capable of applying for those grants and pursuing those opportunities for you? And as long as they're willing to do that and they have a wastewater and water engineering firm, then they would be perfectly fine. So I don't think it really matters who specifically you use, just someone that you guys feel comfortable with, I think is because you're going to be working pretty closely with them. So
I just feel this is something we need to get kind of halfway rolling, because obviously the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets.
yes.
And it's every time you have a break, it's very expensive to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So
the cost per foot, the numbers I would give the other, well, I think I gave you guys last year. I mean, you could be looking at, let's say $200 or $300 a foot to bore in new water line, and these kind of leaks are costing you guys $1,000 to $1,500 a square per linear foot, just because of all the emergency costs that go along with it. So if you know it's got to be done, it's never going to be cheaper than it is today. So,
Exactly. So whatever, if you can come up with a plan or whatever, so we need to get going here before too long and just kind of get some ideas.
Give you some options on some, like I said, just getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
It won't be free, so we'll have to start getting you some costs on the income survey.
But again, that gets more expensive too.
Oh, yes.
As it goes on.
As it goes on, yes.
Okay. You all done then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Next up is legal counsel.
All right, so I have a couple of answers for you regarding a couple of the issues that we talked about before. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the stop sign for Mont Drive and kind of what we
Where
figured
do you
out
want
there?
to go?
Okay, we'll start there. So I went and spent a decent amount of time over at the recorder's office trying to kind of figure out exactly what we're looking at there. And I was able to actually pull the prior survey prior to that subdivision actually being created, built, etc. And it does say that subdivision extends to the middle of that road. So the north half of Delphi Road, I think we can pretty definitively say, is in town corporation limits. The south half of Delphi Road, there's nothing to indicate that it is. I could not find a right-of-way. I didn't see anything in the plat about a right-of-way or anything like that. After talking with Alicia about it, kind of what we were thinking probably made the most sense was if we're wanting to put the stop sign there and we need the county's help, maybe the best route to go is to see if the county will grant us an easement to put up that stop sign. And so she suggested that if that's what we want to do and that's the route we want to go, to reach out to Tom Little, and I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
And so I think then the question just becomes, exactly where do we want to put it? What route do we need to go?
So I think it was East Mont Drive was where it was going to go. So wherever that falls.
I guess I'm curious on the easement.
Yeah, I don't know if we have
We're
to
paving
be
the road, so
we have
we
to
have to
be-
get their permission to pave the road too. Or,
So with regard to the easement, it's very possible that there's a right of way there that we could just put the stop sign in. The problem is we don't know. I mean, there is definitely a right of way next to the road. Whether the county controls or has any care if we put a stop sign in that right of way or not is where that easement would come in. So on the plat, Bethany pulled the plat and we took a look at that. There's no specific right of way drawn on the plat, and so just to cover our bases and make sure that we don't put up a stop sign that then someone else is going to take down if we contact the county, and just make sure that they're fine with us putting it there. And I can't imagine that they would care. And if there's a right of way there already, we may not need to get a formal easement. We might just get their permission to put it in the right of way, because it would be for public use. But as far as the street goes, typically what happens when a street is like half owned by one municipality and half owned by the other, someone ends up putting it on their street map. I forget what it's called.
That's the NDOT road inventory.
That one. And so when you put it on your inventory, then you kind of take ownership and possession of that street. The problem is we just don't have any confirmation based on that plat that there is that right of way and where it exists and who owns it. And so the easiest way to deal with it, to ensure that you're not going to have that stop sign taken down or you're not going to tick off the county, is to just ask nicely.
Okay.
and they'll probably say yes. But
Well, the reason I asked about that was that's one of the community crossings jobs that's getting paid this year.
yeah.
So, well, you weren't at that meeting, were you?
Mhm.
Yeah, because we
No.
talked about it. Yeah,
But if
it is on our inventory.
Yeah, if the street is on our inventory, then we're responsible for maintaining that street. It's just a question of, is the right of way ours or is it the county's?
Gotcha. Well, it'd be nice to resolve that regardless. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'd be a good idea, just contact them and,
If we're gonna pave it,
yeah, might as well get it done before they get the paving done too, so.
yeah.
Good thing, so.
I will reach out to Tom and have a conversation with him and just make sure that we got all of that squared away for sure.
Okay.
All right, so that takes care of stop sign issue. I think the next two issues that we wanted to discuss were a couple of homes here in town. We'll start with the home that is not connected to utilities. So Alicia and I talked about this one, kind of at length, and thinking the best route. There's not really anything in the ordinances that does anything for us outside of kind of what's already in the Indiana code and already the channels that are outlined. So probably the best first step is to reach out to the Clinton County Health Department and see if they will do anything. There is a statute that says that they are responsible, or that they have to, respond to it. And if they don't respond to it, then we can go to the Indiana Department of Health. But the thought process is that you're probably going to hopefully gain a little bit more traction doing that. Otherwise, our next other option is to go the route of code enforcement, and then we're just kind of going to end up in court, and it's just going to be, you can find them. They're not going to clean it up. I mean, that's all laid out in the ordinances too, but I just don't know that we're going to get a ton of places with that, whereas our understanding was that the health department was probably going to have a little bit more ability.
Essentially, the thought is if the health department will take care of it, and whether it's the local health department or it's the state health department, it saves you time and resources to not have to go to court on your own if there's another department under which has its purview covering that. And so we did look up the state statute pertaining to that specific issue, and it is covered by the local health department. Whether or not they'll enforce it is a completely different thing, but there is a state statute that says that if they won't enforce it, then the state health department can be contacted. And to the extent that we can allow another department to take on a court case,
It won't cost us anything.
yeah, and I mean, it's been sitting there for how long? So if it takes a little while to get that process rolling, that's still going to save you a little bit of time. At some point, if the state health department or the local health department don't get the job done, then we can pursue a court option. But I always try to, I don't want to say I try and kick it to other departments, but I do, because then you guys don't have to fund that initiative, and if we can have someone else take care of it, then great.
Well, didn't the local Clinton County Health Department already try to serve?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Well,
So
I don't know
then-
about
and it
serve. They tried to send him a certified.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
tried to send
he
him a
wouldn't
certified
accept it.
letter.
Well,
So
what our thought was, if you would like us to, is we could reach out to the health department and send them the statute and say, hey, here's what's going on. We need you to enforce this. If you don't, then, you know, we're gonna send it to the state, basically.
Sounds good to me.
Start there and then, okay.
A little movement
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, well, at least we're doing something.
We can revisit it again, you know, if things don't happen, then we can revisit it again and we can talk about what our court options would be.
Okay.
So that's on the agenda for next month. Continuously.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to get this thing rolling somehow, you know, because this is way too long.
And I think that I don't see, any trash pickup or anything there.
Yeah.
If we had the complaint of bugs flying around that area.
Yeah.
So I try to keep an eye on it, and I don't see any lights on, nothing, but
Yeah.
the meter's running.
Okay.
I can see that from the driveway.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
meter's running because it's a shared driveway,
Uh-huh.
and the complainant was next door.
Okay.
So, I mean, my concern is bringing rodents and stuff in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
and that's why it
rats.
clearly falls within the health department's.
Oh,
purview.
absolutely.
It meets the definition of the
Yeah.
in the
Now, I'm not
ordinances to a
saying-
T.
I'm not making allegations that it is full of trash. Maybe he's taking his trash somewhere else every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Can
Concerning
you say that the
nonetheless.
garage is full?
Yeah. Jay said he was mowing. He could see in the garage. It used to be just trash in the garage in his car, and now there's so much trash that he can't park his car in there. So.
Well, I mean, just the fact that he's not connected to water, you know, that means that he's not going to have toilets and things. I mean, that in and of itself is going to be within the health department's purview, and that's why our ordinances, we could probably take it to court, but I think we're going to have a better. They're not as tight on the health element of it as the health department's ordinances are. So I think, you know, if to the extent again that we can have them take a look at it and bring an action if an action is needed, great.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Same thing there. I'll reach out to the local health department and see what we can do to get moving on that one. And then the last one was the house that burned down. So bless you. Did a little bit of looking. It does not at this point look like I'm assuming that still is there. It's still an issue. It's not been addressed or cleaned up at all, right? Okay. So did a little bit of looking. Have not seen an estate filed for the individual who owns the home as of yet. That doesn't entirely change what I think our next steps are. So Alicia and I talked about this one too. We think probably in this instance, first step is going to be probably send them, you know, a notice to abate and give them some sort of a realistic timeline. Alicia kind of said she really thought no less than 30 days. If you guys wanted to extend it a little bit longer because you thought it was going to be, you know, more realistic that within 60 days they could do something with the weather. I don't know exactly what the approximate, you know, what's reasonable in this scenario. I'll defer to what you guys think makes the most sense, but definitely probably no less than 30 days based on kind of what we're asking them to do. But ultimately, unfortunately, probably where we're going to end up is probably if we're trying to get them to clean it up and they're not going to, we're probably going to end up kind of back in that same court cycle where we may have to, you know, help you with the
basically,
process, like-
yeah. So basically, what we would do is we do the notice to abate. We give them that time frame. If they don't do it, then we would file in court and say, hey, we've given them time to clean it up. They haven't cleaned it up, and in that notice to abate, we would institute the fining process that we have. So once they don't get that cleaned up, the fines start, you know, accumulating, and then we file in court. Once we file in court, we need to have certain documentation to make sure that we can support our case. So we would need something from the health department saying that it's unsafe or unsanitary. We need something from an engineer saying that it's structurally unsound. And we would need something from a fire marshal or a fire department person to say that it's a fire hazard as it stands. I know it burned down, but it's still, you know, still a fire hazard. So we get those three pieces of information. We file in court. Once we file in court, we ask for two things. Number one is we ask for the fines. And number two is we ask for the judge to tell them that they have to clean it up within a certain period of time. And if they don't clean it up, that we have the authority to then do so. Once that period of time elapses, then we go ahead and we clean it up. We would have to pay for that, but then we could file that as a lien on the real estate. And then if they ever sell the property, that would come back to the town at that point. But then it would be cleaned up and you would get that taken care of. So the balancing act for the town on this one is that you've got to balance how much you are fearful of the health and safety of that property and the eyesore of it, of course, versus how much can we spend on demolition and going to court and all of that process. So generally speaking, I would say that you're going to be looking at probably about $30,000 to tear down a house and have all the legal fees. But again, you can put that on as a lien on the property. But I always say that we should do a notice to abate first, because there have been several other communities that I've worked with where we've sent them a letter and we said, you're going to get fined and here's the fine. And if you don't do it, we're going to start imposing this, and they have cleaned it up. And they've sat there for 6 years and never cleaned it up. But once we finally sent that letter, and generally we recommend that comes from our office. Bethany would send it because then it has a little bit more teeth, and we make sure that they got it. As far as the ownership goes, if we can't find an owner because we don't know who the heirs of this person are, we can do a notice by publication and we can put it in the newspaper. And then when we do the actual court action, we can do a notice by publication to the heirs of the person who's deceased, and that will be sufficient as far as service goes. And we just have to publish it in the newspaper a couple of times. So
We have an idea who the heirs are, right?
We have a name.
okay, so we could reach out to that
I
person
mean,
specifically
assuming she
first.
is leaving something to them.
Well,
the heirs, if
it'll
it's
be
an heir no matter what.
Yeah,
whether
at this
they're getting
point-
anything left to them or not.
At this point, since we don't know if there's no formal estate currently, so we don't know if there's any will. So it'll pass via Indiana intestacy statute. So most of the time it's going to be heirs at law, children, that kind of thing, next of kin. Think that same general vein. Those are the people that we're looking for. So if we have one name, that at least gets us rolling, but we'll probably have to be responsible for finding as many of them as possible, right?
If we can.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, if we don't know who they are and we have no way of finding them, it's just as easy to go ahead and publish it, because you're going to spend a bunch of time trying to locate these people. And while I am good at finding things on the internet, we don't want to spend too much time searching for people when we can do it via publication.
Okay. I'll send you the name.
Perfect.
Sarah will be able to look it up tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess your decision tonight then is if you want to go ahead and move forward with this process, knowing that it is going to cost something if we go down this road. Now, if they go ahead and clean it up, then we've spent money on a letter. But if they don't, then you're looking at a much more entailed.
Did you say that is the deed clear on that?
I believe it's still owned by the deceased person.
Yeah. So I don't know. I did not see a mortgage that was recorded online, and I did see where the individual received it via warranty deed. So I don't think that there is a mortgage anywhere, at least not to my knowledge. I didn't go check over at the courthouse, but yeah.
Okay.
That's too bad because we can go after the bank. Clean that up.
Well, and at a minimum, they probably would have had, the bank probably would have had
Somebody-
insurance or something like
Should
that.
have, yeah.
But it does not. Because that was kind of where we were thinking. We didn't think that there was homeowners insurance on the property, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I guess we probably need to have a motion to go ahead and proceed with the process.
I make a motion that we pursue both those properties and do what we can to rectify both those situations.
Second.
My only, instead of 30 days, would you think longer? 60?
For the burnt building.
Yes.
How long has it been like that though?
Since the end of August.
Is it Summer's End Festival?
That's what I was
Five
thinking.
and a half months.
Yeah.
So why do we need to give them 60 days?
I was just thinking with the weather,
Oh,
winter.
I mean, 60-30 doesn't make it, I mean, that's fine.
We could always start with 30 and then, tell them if
Yeah.
I would probably I'd probably recommend 60 because with the weather, and then they're going to have to find a contractor. And if they aren't, I mean, they should know what's going on,
Yeah.
but they may not know what's going on. And so if you're a person who's lost a loved one and is grieving and is trying to deal with things, giving them a little bit of grace, especially since it has been sitting there for a little bit, I think it's probably a better idea than starting with 30 and then extending it. We want to have backbone on this. So if we extend it, then it looks like we're just going to.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that
that's
too,
fine.
so we'll go
That's
60
fine.
days
Yeah.
on
Okay,
that one.
so again, the motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
You go. Everything else for us?
I don't think so. Do you guys have anything else that you need from me before
Okay,
next meeting?
Brooke, you're up to bat here.
Okay. I think you guys signed this one. That's just all the checks written in the month of January. This is from Sheet Metal, International Association of Sheet Metal. They're gonna stand up in the four-way stop and collect money on June 14th. I don't know if we make a motion to allow this, but it's a courtesy thing letting us know, asking if it's okay that they do that. Do we have to make a motion to accept this? This is going to be for Dollars Against Diabetes, Dad's Day.
That's on state property. Do we even have?
They do it every year. They were up there this
Yeah.
past
Yeah,
year.
do we have to?
I don't know that you have to do a motion, but you should do it by consensus at the very least.
Okay.
If you want to do a motion, I don't think it hurts anything.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing, and I agree. As
Yeah.
opposed to a motion.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you'll just want to put in the meeting minutes that there was consensus to allow it.
Okay, and the next thing is Cindy sent me this today, this email about what the amount of interest we would get if we went with the positive pay.
Mm-hmm.
So our interest was 2018 for 1 month, and it would go up $1,500, $1,513.60 per her math. I don't know what the positive pay costs per month. That's the thing.
Do you say it's like $80 though?
That's what she said. I didn't say
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would, and then it would. Here's the email. You guys can pass that around. This is just. You don't need this.
Okay.
Yeah, because she said well, it's a 1% bump, and 1% over the year would be about $18,000, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Well.
And if we're paying $900, I mean, if we can make $18,000 by paying $900, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then we have the extra protection in case there's fraud.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, unless you haven't, it's hard to say whether it's a good deal or not, unless if something's happened to you. Of course, it's a good deal.
Exactly.
If it hasn't, you're like, am I over insuring myself? You know. So this is obviously on the town level. So well, that's why you guys are here.
So we'd have instead of 2018, we'd have 3,500
Yeah.
in interest per month. So it's a pretty good bump.
Yep.
One thing I can is it was going from 1.5 to 2.5, which I was thinking, okay, 2.5, that might be a little low. I don't know what other municipalities are getting from other banks. I have no idea.
Is this
Changing
on a
banks would be
checking
a
account?
major pain.
Well, this is our town account.
Yeah. So
And she said she's happy to do another. I mean, she'll talk to any of you guys and do another conference call or whatever if you guys want one. If you have more questions, or if you guys have questions, just shoot them at me and I'll call her throughout the day. And I'll get her to put all her answers on an email so I can send it to you.
Can she show us what we currently have, what we currently pay, versus what all this would be and what all the fees are? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, what do we have now? What are the fees? What's the interest? Versus what
Well,
this is, like basically a breakdown.
Yeah, she's saying what is our interest? Did she tell you that, Stan? I felt like that was in one of our texts.
Yeah, the rate was 1.5. If we go to 2.5,
Yeah, here's the 2.25.
was it 2.5 or 1.2?
2.25 is what it would go to, right?
Yeah, it's a 1%
Yeah,
boost.
yeah.
What we're getting.
Yeah, I was just curious, like how much, like what's the cost for the positive pay? What's the cost for
No, she said
the
8.
fraud insurance? What's the cost? Like,
Should-
show me a breakdown. of
Positive pay
everything.
is the fraud insurance, and she said 80 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're
I'll
paying
get-
80 a
so-
month, and they're gonna let us have, what was that?
We'll say
I
I
current.
just want to see what all the charges
Yeah.
Yeah.
fees are currently versus what
Yeah.
they're trying to sell us.
Well, I'll have her put it in an email
That's
that
too
way.
vague for me to say. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see more information on that.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, I get that.
I just want to see what we currently have and what they're proposing and what all the fees we currently pay and what fees we're gonna incur.
I just wish she would come out and say the bottom line.
Yes,
She
and that's
doesn't
feel
seem
like
to want to do that.
yeah, and that's
what
what
his question.
That's
Yes.
what makes me skeptical. Like,
Yeah.
what's all the account analysis fees? Like,
Yeah.
lay it all out there and let's see it.
It give us hard numbers.
Yeah. She said something about the account analysis in one of these.
So the analysis fees, you're paying what?
300.
$300 a month or something?
Yeah. And that's what this is about.
Yeah, and it'll go.
She's
up
seen them go to
based
360
on adding
from
certain
262
things,
to
but it's like, what do
402,
we currently
somewhere in
have and
between.
What's it going to go to, and what's going to change? Like,
Mhm.
show
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
that's going to change. That's why I just want to see. I'm not opposed to it. I just-
Yeah. Tidy it up for us.
Looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gonna make more money.
that's always good.
Okay,
There's
Brooke.
usually a drawback somewhere.
There's that. Oh, and then the golf cart registration packet. Sarah's wanting to make it a little simpler so that everybody doesn't have to bring all their stuff up. They usually forget. I mean, a lot of them. I say they usually.
I'm guilty on the insurance.
A bunch of people.
I'm just like it's the same
forget.
as last year.
Yeah. So, she's wanting to know if we can just do that. Same as last year. But change the new updated waiver form and not continue the new registration sheet, the copy of the license and insurance every year. She would like to maybe do it. Were you in here when she was talking about that, or were you in
I
here,
was.
Stan?
Yeah.
Was it? She want to do it like every other year as far as updating stuff, or every 2 or 3 years, or
No,
whatever.
only if you get another golf cart.
So if you get another golf cart, or
Then you got to go
get
through
another
the, 'cause then
insurance,
you're going to have
yeah.
to have the
get different insurance,
the
or
ID number on the cart, and then the cart color, and
Yeah.
all the parameters of the golf
Yeah.
cart. And I'm the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
you get that thing. Well, they got it on file.
Yeah.
You know, why do you
So
need it again?
yeah. So if everything stays the same, leave it. I mean, because that binder is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's this thick, and she redoes it. She has to redo it every year.
How many golf carts we have in Rossville?
123, I think she said.
And the binder's that big? That's a lot of info.
It's pages of people's driver's license and insurance, and it's all separate pages, and then their registration form, and
Yeah.
it's a big one.
I mean,
I guess what's the ordinance say? Does the ordinance allow that?
I don't know what's the ordinance say.
Wanna look it up? I don't happen to know what's the golf cart.
we can amend it.
Is it?
Yeah.
If not, if it's
Yeah,
oh, you got
we're
table
gonna do it.
contents.
I have
Okay.
table contents off.
Do that.
Yeah.
Recreational vehicles? That sounds like a piece of-
Yeah. If not, in the back there's a tab with golf. Or there's a golf cart section. It'll take you right to it. If that doesn't work, because I did look it up one other time. Bruce playing, Bethany. Bruce playing right now. I just
Telling
messed
her
with
to
you.
hurry up.
It's all right. Spent $8 on Peacock so I could watch it. Then I'm like, oh, I have a town board meeting.
So what would the waiver basically consist of? That basically an affidavit saying that your information is the same as the prior year,
Yes.
and just do that every 2 years.
Certify you got insurance, just sign that you have insurance.
Driver's license is valid.
Yeah.
Insurance is up to date for the net year
Yeah.
2025 to 2026, whatever.
And the only time you have to fill out the other form is when
Not a
you
sex
use.
button.
Yeah.
Just, if you think about it, it's the same way you do a car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But if you don't have insurance, then one end pulls you over.
Alright.
Golf cart shall be registered with the town of Rossville on or before May 1 annually.
Or gotta change that.
I was gonna say, I thought we changed the date.
Yeah, we
I
changed
think,
that
I
one.
think we just changed this like a year ago.
Yeah, we changed that
Yeah,
last
Yeah.
year
recently, yeah.
to the end of May.
I think
Oh,
Bob's still making that. Bob, are you watching? You need that. You got that. Did he bring another?
Huh?
It does say the registration shall expire on April 30 of the following year. So if the registration expires, we'd have to change that, right? So that it's not.
Oh, so
that
it's
it
not
could
expiring, it's just.
yeah, so it can continue. Yeah.
And we changed that one last year.
It does have that you have to have proof of financial responsibility every year.
It would have to be set up to where like the
Letter C has all the
Yeah.
requirements.
where you skip a year would have to be like, it would always have to be on an even or an odd. Because like I couldn't have a 2-year waiver and then you be on the opposite, because then you're gonna run into the issue where numbers are gonna overlap. And
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I would say that you'd probably want to amend the ordinance if you wanted to change the registration process.
Especially because it talks about registration renewal.
And it's an annual thing, and
Yeah.
renewal also includes the insurance in there. So, but you could change it. It's not that hard.
We'll have Sarah write it up.
Okay. Yeah.
It's her baby. Her
We'll
brainchild.
send those out in March. Probably
When's the newsletter come out? April?
April.
Yeah, she just asked me about the front page of it today, so I think it is April. Yeah.
Someone asked me when's spring cleanup.
May
I said it's
something.
March, April, or May. Does that help?
May.
May something.
I know it was May last year.
Mid-May sometime.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't know.
It's up there somewhere, I think.
We got all this stuff stored in our head about everything
Yeah.
about the whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but last year we did make the
Springtime.
change where we went out to the end of May. Was it in May or first part or June the 1st?
For what?
When you had to register your car.
Golf
It used to be
End of May.
April. Yeah,
Now it's the
Yeah.
end of the
we
May.
Extended it.
It's kind of a high hassle. In April, weather can be a little iffy,
Right,
to
right.
bring them up and get the sticker on all that garbage. So
Okay, so they have to actually present the golf cart
If it's new.
if it's new. Okay.
yeah,
That way we can inspect to make sure that turn signals work and that they have them. Tail lights,
Yeah. Yeah.
brake lights,
yeah.
On the initial.
headlights on the initial.
Yeah, because you don't.
Yes.
Need
Because the initial one is still more expensive. It's what, 50?
I don't know. I don't remember.
And it was 15 for then thereafter.
year after,
each year
yeah.
thereafter. But if you get a new cart, then it is more expensive. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So the UTVs in town are every 3 years, and they just have to follow the county's ordinance. You know? So it's they have to register it through the DMV, and it's every 3 years.
Hmm.
Just a thought. So
Okay, that's all I got.
you're not talking about changing of the way you want to do the banking as far as.
Oh
the
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. That was part of that too. Wanting to go down to the one bank account.
Mhm.
Seems like the more people I talk to, the more say that would be a good idea. Be a lot easier to reconcile.
Yeah, she was saying that takes you about 3 weeks.
Yeah, about not that long, but like 4 or 5 days to reconcile.
Okay.
Where it should, and it took Pat 3 days or so. That's what Sarah said.
3 days.
And
Each month.
yeah, and the lady at Kirkland who she takes her 15 minutes to
Yeah.
reconcile.
Yeah.
She just pops in her numbers, checks everything. As long as she doesn't have an error. Now, if she has an error, she has to find it.
Well, sure.
That could
Yeah.
take 5 minutes. That could take 5 days. But I mean, 3 days to reconcile is insane.
Mhm.
Everybody says so. Yeah, it should be a lot simpler. Especially with the sweep accounts and all that were too confusing.
Yeah, and you've been talking to the bank already, and they're suggesting to go to one account.
Yes.
So, which would make it a lot simpler. And you also said
And
the
State Board of
State Board
Accounts.
of Accounts likes it a whole
Yes.
lot better.
Yes.
So I guess we just
So,
need
yeah.
to approve
Yep.
doing that, letting you do that.
And Keystone is the one that guided, like said, they're the ones that were going to train me on it. And they're just like, you can't come up with a reconciliation when you don't have an ending balances
Mhm.
on your water and wastewater. They just don't even know how to do it. They don't even know where to start. And they teach it. So yeah.
Oh,
So it's been messed up for a while. Or
Yeah.
our own little,
Yeah. I mean, it's reconciling every month because I'm putting in the right numbers but it's not as clean as it needs to be for
mhm.
at an audit,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
And we don't want to be when we get audited, when I get, this
Uh-huh.
this building gets audited, I don't want to have to
Take 3 days to do it.
do a lot of work to try to
Explain it.
explain all of it and to try to come up with what they're going to want us to come up with.
Mhm.
This will just be a lot cleaner. It'll be a lot more transparent. It'll be a lot, simpler. All those things. I like all those things.
Mhm.
Anything simpler.
Sure.
I'll
So
entertain motion that we allow Brooke to go to a single, whatever.
single bank account, but
Single
that
bank, okay.
we'll still have the water and wastewater separate from
Right.
the
But
other
it'll
stuff.
be just in one account.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. We simplify our banking procedures, our accounts to one account, but with the separate divisions. Separate divisions, period.
I just have a question about do we have to have concrete answers on the positive pay and
Now
all
the
that
positive
first?
pay's something extra. I mean, that's just something she's wanting us to do along with it. We don't have to have the positive pay.
I'm just making
to
sure
do
we don't
this.
have to have all that finalized before we incorporate everything into one account.
No, we don't.
Okay. Second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You're good, Brooke. Do you have
Okay.
anything else?
That's it.
I got one more question. Right across the street, what are they doing over there now? Anything? I've seen the windows boarded up over there for
Which
6 months.
ones?
Meeks
Meeks.
Meek stuff. He called me a couple weeks ago. Still wanting to do the outdoor glamping. So basically, the facade will stay, and then there'll be lights strung up above, and
Is he making progress?
He was waiting on a structural engineer or something, wasn't he, at one point?
he said he was talking to a structural engineer, but I never heard the word state design release mentioned, which I'm sure he'll have to have to leave the facade of a building
Yeah.
and nothing behind it. I would think would require a state design release.
The only thing I see over there is a front with
Well, that's what he intends.
with plywood on the windows.
He intends to
Hold it
basically
up.
fix up the facade, and that facade will be somehow freestanding, which I'm sure you could make it happen. And then but that was when he called me. He was looking at trying to see if there's funding for stuff like that. Which I kind of briefly went through the Okra stuff on Main Street stuff, but I said you're gonna have to get all the business owners online for that.
Mhm.
So, but he did ironically call me a couple weeks ago. So, but that was his plan, and he presented that. I think one or two of you was here. It's been like a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
it was
it's
a
been a
long time ago.
while. Yeah.
But while we were on the board, yeah.
But like I said, that was my only question is the part that I would think that would require on Main Street would require a state design release to get that done. And that's
Okay.
it. So, but that's his plan is to leave the facade, and then basically he was talking about having on the one side that maybe still had maybe the accounting building, Beasley's Accounting was going to have somewhere in there was gonna have like a Airstream glamping, they call it, which I'd never heard of until you.
I've had a glamping's good.
But like an event center.
Also, has Kirchhoff's reached out to you about anything?
They have not
That's that
closed.
too.
They did do a survey, but they have not closed.
Okay.
So I did, yes, I did get a call from him
Who'd you
about
say?
3 weeks
I
ago.
think Clayton sold.
Oh,
Well, it's not, they haven't closed, so
So
there's still negotiations between Clayton and Kirkhoff, so. But that, he had some more questions about access off of Rainy Street. So I answered his questions and I did let him know about the property on the north side of Ramey that we've been taking care of, that's kind of in foreclosure. That would help, if somebody was to acquire that property, that would help solidify, Ramey Street access, since the house on the south side, their cars are kind of hanging out in the road right now, so I said, but he was apparently told by somebody that we weren't gonna allow access off Ramey to the property. And I said, well, I don't think that's
No, that's
not
no.
true. I mean, I said, I'm not guaranteeing it because I can't say that, but,
Yeah.
I,
I
guess
think
the
I
biggest
can-
thing would be IDEM with
with
Wellhead.
the well, yeah, and I did make him aware of that there would be some hoops to jump through with, passing so close to one of our wells. Even though there's a road there already, it's something about putting asphalt on the road, so. Well, I'm not even sure it was that so much as calling it an actual street. You know, one of those, you know,
Legal things?
yeah, it's just purely legal. I mean, the road's already there, but then if we're gonna actually call it a street, well, now we got a different issue.
Is the
So,
base already down?
yeah, the base is down. It's
The
ready to
receiver
pave.
told me the base is already there
Yeah,
to do the
base
street.
is- The base is there to
Yeah.
do the street, and we actually, especially now that the survey's done, we actually intend to, you'll see there's some big rock back there. We intend to do a little bit more of that base to take that little dado out, now that I know where the property line is, because people struggle to turn around for the compost, and we're gonna kind of redo that area to see if it will work with the housing addition there. And then that way it will tell us, and we're not out anything, because what we're gonna put in would be based for the road going out there anyway, so. And if they don't do it, well, then it helps our access to the compost pile. So basically, next time you drive out there, you see where it narrows up to one lane. We're gonna widen that back out to 2 lanes, out to the compost pile. But yeah, the survey actually shows that the town owns further south than I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right now that they're farming is probably, I don't know, just on that south side, they're probably farming 40 feet of our property.
Couple
But
inches
on
a
the
year.
east side,
Uh-huh.
but if you
Couple
look at
inches
the
a
east
year.
side line, our
keep
grass
creeping.
has migrated out probably 6 foot into the farm field. So it's more than a wash on their side. Actually, they probably lost a little bit too much on the east side, where the farmer just kept not spraying the weeds, and our grass just kind of kept moving out.
Is
So,
that contracted to be farmed this summer or not?
not that I've heard about? It was a year-to-year lease.
I know,
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I did, like I said, he did say that they had not closed. He was still negotiating some items. So
Okay.
I let him know that you guys would be more than happy. I let him know that you guys had already met with Clayton and David Maitland, and that if he wanted to meet with you guys, that you guys would be more willing to do it. So.
Yeah.
Would we have to go to area plan for like setback easements for a 2-lane road to go between those 2 houses? Is there even enough room there?
Well, see, we already have the right of way right there, where by the houses. It's already, matter of fact, that's on our road inventory, right there. And that's as wide as some of our current streets. Now, for a new, like, starting from scratch, no. Yeah, I think Frankfurt just went through that, correct?
Is it 30? It's
Meadow,
like 30.
Meadowbrook?
It's like 32.
Well, on how wide the
34.
road's gotta be?
Yeah, we had,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a discussion about that. They ended up making 30 feet.
Really? Okay, I was thinking maybe were they arguing, were some of the people arguing they wanted it wider?
Yeah, they
than
wanted it to be 36, if I
Okay.
recall correctly. Don't quote me on that, but
Well,
they,
no,
they
no.
wanted it to be 36
that?
feet,
Okay,
I think, and they ended up agreeing to make it 30 feet because they didn't want it to be a main street that people were like to control traffic and that sort of thing. They wanted to make sure that it was narrower so that they didn't have people just speeding through a subdivision. But the subdivision ordinance originally said that it had to be 36 feet in Frankfurt. And then the planning commission decided to allow them to have a variance on that and make it 30 feet. They subsequently, I think, decided to change that. Whether that's actually gotten changed or if it's still in the works, I can't remember. But
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
I guess as the street guy, I would say the road's already there. No, it's probably not what I would recommend if it was a brand new subdivision, but it's also not the primary entrance either. The primary entrance would be off State Road 26 if they were to do it.
Yeah, but if you're coming north or south, it's going to be the primary entrance.
Yeah, well, and then I did
If you're
offer.
going east or west, it'll be the primary off 26. But if you're coming from Delphi, they're going to go
Oh, no
100%.
no arguments there. So it's 22 foot wide right now, which, like I said, the road we just did that they're coming off of East Street is 18. So now that's, like I said, once again, you're dealing with a road that was existing. That's not ideal, and we wouldn't put it in new like that now. But so it's there's really no other way to. The only other way to access it, which I threw out to him, which Mary Lou had thrown out over the years, Mary Lou Gray, was access off East North Street. But the only way, and Dave Sievert and I were the ones meeting with her that time, was my vote was as long as it's one way in, one way out, and it's going to a cul-de-sac, because North Street's it's not designed to handle a lot of traffic. So basically, you have maybe 20 lots that you would access off East North Street, but it would be going to a cul-de-sac, not accessing the rest of that 100 lot housing addition. Now, I still don't think that would make the people on East North Street very happy, and I can't say as I would blame them, but like I said, it is all a negotiation when you're dealing with the housing addition, and there's a road right there. So, but I would at least draw the line saying that road's not designed to handle a lot of traffic. And Ramey, like I said, let's say he was able to acquire the property to the north side of that Ramey, that lot goes all the way to the town property of the park. So if he wanted to make it 36 foot, tear the house down, make it 36 foot, you could. And that would also help us with the house to the south. Now, I have no idea where that house is in foreclosure. I did look on Beacon the other day to see that the bank's still paying the taxes on it. Or paid the taxes last fall.
They probably sold it real cheap, just get out from under that.
I mean,
You got a buyer, Stan?
to be honest,
The buyer.
that may not be super easy to acquire. I mean, it's a big lot. People would be interested in that lot as a building lot.
I wouldn't want to be the one to go clean it up on the inside.
Well, this is true.
It's bad.
How long's it been?
It's been a while. Is the sat empty?
Yeah, and I know when the patio door was open, there was a gallon of milk and stuff sitting on the counter. So
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Big cottage cheese by now.
After you told me that, we did not. I didn't even want to look in the windows.
Yeah.
I just cleaned up the outside and we moved on.
But before that, you wanted to look in the windows?
Well, I may have been tempted.
Put that in my minutes.
I may have been tempted. But not
Okay.
after that.
Anybody got anything else you want to bring up?
I kind of do, just briefly.
Yeah, sure.
At that meeting that we had with the other county or towns, one of the people talked about the little caps off of plastic bottles, and that the town had collected a bunch of them and made picnic tables and benches for their park. Took a bunch of them, but if we got, it wouldn't be any big process. Just set up big buckets someplace. I don't know exactly where we could do it or who will allow us to do it.
The Lions Club would probably do that. Probably be able to do that. I could probably get that squared away.
It just sounds like
Just
something
gonna have
that
some
they
kind
would-
of a container for what,
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously you
Oh,
don't
yeah,
want to fill it with water and,
Oh, no.
The lady from, oh, no, that's pickleball courts. Never mind.
Yeah.
But they did. Oh, no, they did it too. Kirkland. They have benches.
yeah.
Yeah. Because that was, I think, Linda Barnett's thing.
The benches and picnic tables. for
If
the
you
park.
talk to Eric Downing, there's 2 benches that sit behind the pavilion, and I'm pretty sure. I remember Eric.
They look like they're made out of the same stuff.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that was
Those
something
green
that
ones?
Eric back in the day. Well, of course, we had it was easier for the town to deal with it back then because I think we had a thing for people to throw them in when we had a recycle center.
Oh, yeah.
And then, now we don't really have the mechanism to collect them so well, but
We can have people put them in the slot Sarah could clean that up. every day.
Yeah, but now go over.
I can just see her getting buried with.
You guys brought up, I'm glad you brought up the community foundation. Did any of you guys get an invitation for a meeting?
No,
Let me, see if I can pull it up here. I was hoping that I'd be able to go. I'm, supposed to RSVP by this Thursday. It'll be, I believe,
What is it called?
it's the community foundation. You guys had a meeting here like last year, but I think this is a similar meeting. Your Voice Matters, a nonprofit meeting. It's in Frankfurt.
That was ARC. I know you're talking about. It's
What
like
was that?
through, no, it was through like, it was funded by like Eli Lilly or something like that, right?
Yeah, but it
That
was
was
the
the one
community
before.
foundation that was doing it on behalf of, I think it was a Lilly grant that they had gotten to get community input. So, and the same thing, it's other nonprofits are 2 times on the 20th of February, either at 1:30 or 3:30. I would probably be going to the one at 3:30. So,
when is that now?
on February 20th.
What day is the
It's a
20th?
Thursday.
Is it a Thursday? Okay.
February 20th is.
Yeah, so I was gonna, I had it on my calendar at my office to RSVP by this Thursday, so.
I'd really like to go, but I'm gonna go see the Pacers and the Grizzlies that night. Christmas gift.
But I'll just, I'll forward you guys this email.
Okay.
Zach Eady, baby.
Have it.
Anything else?
I could do 1:30.
Or guess I'll open it up to you guys. You got anything you want to bring up? No? Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Would you like to talk to Lions Club about those bottle caps?
Yeah, what I'd like to see is some kind of what the container would look like before we bring it up to them, so they know what they're doing.